Welcome to Shatter.
It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a fight. It was a sentence so casual, she didn't even look up from her plate. But I heard it like a shot. Too nice? That's what she thought of me? After all the years, all the effort, all the quiet sacrifices? Kindness, now seen as weakness. It landed differently than I expected. Not like pain. More like clarity. A mirror, held too close to ignore. And I realized something right there at the table. She didn't say that because she hated me. She said it because she no longer respected me. There's a difference. And that's when I knew. The version of me she once loved? She had buried him long ago. Now she was just waiting for me to figure it out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed beside her. Her back turned. Scrolling. As if nothing had happened. But something had. Not between us. Inside me. That sentence kept repeating in my head like a broken record. You're just too nice. Over and over. Until it meant something else entirely. Until it didn't sound like an insult anymore. It sounded like permission. Permission to stop chasing. To stop explaining. To stop showing up for someone who stopped showing up for me. That was the night I stopped loving her out loud. And the beginning. Of the man she'd never see again. The morning after she said it, everything looked the same. The house was still quiet. The same morning light slipping through the curtains. The same faint sound of her toothbrush in the bathroom. Same scent of her expensive vanilla shampoo trailing in the hallway behind her. Same woman. Same man. Same place. But something was already gone. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was quiet, like the final flicker of a candle right before it gives up the flame. I didn't bring her coffee that morning. Didn't ask how she slept. Didn't say, have a good day. I didn't say anything. Not because I was angry. Because something had switched off inside me. For years, I had carried the weight of keeping us close. Bringing the softness, the patience, the consistency. I was the planner. The apologizer. The one who reached first. Even in silence, I always reached first. And for years, she let me. Not once had she asked if I was tired. If I felt seen. If I was okay carrying everything while she drifted further out of reach. She liked the idea of being loved. But never paused to notice the man who was doing all the loving. Until one day, it was too quiet. Not the room. Me. And she didn't know what to do with it. At work, I stayed late. Not because I needed to. Because I didn't want to come home. At home, I moved through the space like a shadow. Made dinner for one. Washed my own plate. Sat on the far end of the couch. She'd glance at me now and then. Not with concern. With confusion. Like I was a puzzle she forgot how to solve. But I didn't give her any pieces. Not anymore. She started noticing the absences. Little ones, at first. No text during the day. No random calls asking about her schedule. No, what do you want for dinner? She started texting first. Short. Light. Too late. Busy today? You seem quiet. I answered like she answered for years. Just tired. All good. It was poetic, in a way. Returning her energy with surgical precision. I stopped asking about her day. Stopped offering a jacket when it got cold. Stopped checking to see if she made it home safe. And the wild part? She noticed every bit of it, but still wouldn't say what needed to be said. Because to admit the shift would mean admitting her part in it. She wanted the benefits of being loved without the responsibility of loving back. But I was done paying a one-sided rent. One night, she came home in workout gear. Said the gym ran late. Trainer kept her overtime. Good session, she said. I didn't respond. Just nodded. She watched me for a moment, then asked, "You okay?" I said. Never better. And that was the first time I realized. The silence wasn't just distance. It was power. She used to control the room with her presence. Now my absence did the same. That night, in bed, she reached for my hand. I let her touch it. But I didn't hold back. Didn't squeeze. Just let her fingers sit there. Empty. Like the space between us. She pulled away first. Good. Let her feel it now. By the end of that week, the house felt colder. She tried to make small talk. Tried to drop compliments. You've been working out? I saw your old college buddy liked your post. I nodded. Kept scrolling. She was trying. But it was too late. Because when a man goes quiet, it's not random. It's built. Brick by brick. Moment by moment. Every ignored effort. Every rolled eye. Every "you're too sensitive." That silence? It's a fortress. And she wasn't getting in. I started moving things out of drawers. Little by little. Nothing obvious. Passport. A few shirts. Spare keys. She didn't notice. Of course she didn't. She thought I'd always be there. Like furniture. Until the furniture stands up and walks out. On Friday, she suggested dinner. Just us. Said we hadn't gone out in a while. I agreed. She smiled like we were healing. She had no idea I was saying goodbye with every yes. We sat at the restaurant. She wore that black top I used to love. She ordered wine. Made jokes. Laughed like we were still us. But I wasn't listening. I was studying her. Like a museum piece. Something once beautiful. Now behind glass. Untouchable. Unreachable. No longer mine. And I didn't want it anymore. Back home, she leaned in for a kiss. I let it land. But didn't kiss back. She paused. You're different lately. I met her eyes. Yeah. That's all I gave her. Because some things are better left unsaid. Like, I stopped chasing when I realized you were never standing still. By week 3, the silence became something she couldn't tune out. It was no longer just background noise. It was the room. The air between us was colder. Not because I changed the thermostat, but because she had finally stepped into the climate she'd created. For years, she fed me cold affection. Now she was breathing it in. She started moving differently. Lingering near me when I got home. Hovering by the doorway as I changed. Sitting closer on the couch than she had in months. Looking at me longer. Waiting for me to ask questions I no longer cared to ask. But I wasn't cruel. I didn't make a scene. Didn't punish her. I just existed beside her like a closed book. Everything she once ignored now felt like a wall she couldn't climb. Her jokes didn't land. Her outfits didn't register. Her glances didn't hook me anymore. She tried asking where I'd been. Why I was so quiet. What I was thinking. But the man who used to explain himself had retired. Every dinner felt like a test. She'd set the table. Light a candle. Put on soft music. I'd eat. Say thanks. Leave the room. No fights. No raised voices. But the emptiness that screamed louder than anything we'd ever said. I caught her staring at me a lot. While I scrolled. While I packed gym clothes. While I sipped coffee without offering her any. She watched me like a stranger. Like someone she used to know, but forgot how to reach. The man she used to control with a look was now unreadable, and that terrified her. She started texting more during the day. Little things. Useless things. I miss how we used to be. I read it. Locked my phone. Kept walking. I saw her try. Not because she loved me, but because she felt the ground shifting. The attention she once took for granted was gone, and she knew exactly where it went. Back to me. I started sleeping with my back turned. Even when she turned to face me, I heard her breathing change. The way she held back tears. The way her fingers twitched, wanting to reach for me, but didn't. I didn't move. Didn't sigh. Didn't fake concern. Just waited for morning. And in the mornings, I stopped saying anything at all. No sleep well. No have a good day. No love you. Nothing. Just the sound of keys. A door opening. And closing behind me. She tried to pull me back with small comforts. Cooking my favorite meal. Wearing the perfume I once bought her. Sitting in my office with a soft voice, asking if we could talk. But I wasn't hers anymore. And she was finally starting to feel what it's like to be next to someone who no longer chooses you. She wasn't used to silence having consequences. But silence from a man who once gave everything? That's louder than any goodbye. By the time she noticed the shift, I was already 4 steps ahead. I didn't need a reason to leave. She had given me 1,000. I just needed a plan. The beauty of silence is that no one sees it coming. She thought this was just another phase. That I was sulking, waiting for her to warm up again. Like always. She didn't know I had already stopped waiting. I opened a private bank account. Small transfers at first. Enough to avoid alarms. Called the leasing office. Asked what it would take to remove my name. Quiet. Legal. Final. Rented a storage unit 20 minutes from home. Low traffic location. No digital trail tied to our address. Began moving piece by piece. Not the obvious stuff. Not yet. Documents. Keepsakes. Photos she never looked at. I was pulling my life out from under hers. One quiet step at a time. She still didn't notice. She thought the silence meant I was emotionally stuck. In truth, I was strategically detaching. She made dinner one night. Sat across from me. Tried to hold my gaze. I looked back, blank. No hate. No warmth. Just distance. She asked if I was okay. I nodded once. That was enough to keep her hoping. But not enough to keep her safe. At night, she stayed awake longer. Less scrolling. More silence. Sometimes I'd feel her watching me in the dark. Like she was trying to see if I was still in there. I wasn't. I canceled our joint subscriptions. Spotify. Gone. Netflix. Gone. Amazon Prime. Gone. She asked me once, half laughing. Did the accounts get hacked? I said, no, and went back to brushing my teeth. That was the entire conversation. And it was more brutal than a shouting match. Because silence with intention feels like slow death. To someone who used to control the volume. I started sleeping at the edge of the bed, farthest from her, even though the bed was king-sized. It felt like a cold ledge. And she? She lay like someone trying to stay still in an earthquake. Every movement too careful. Every breath unsure. She started texting friends again. Ones she hadn't spoken to in months. Laughing louder when she was on calls. Wearing makeup around the house. All for me. All too late. Because I wasn't looking at her anymore. I was looking past her. The man she once mocked for being too nice was now unrecognizable, and she was starting to feel it. One night, she sat on the couch beside me. Close. Closer than she had in months. I didn't move. Didn't look at her. We watched a show neither of us cared about. And when she reached for my hand, I didn't pull away. But I didn't hold it either. Just let her hand rest there. Weightless. Unnoticed. That was the moment she knew. The connection wasn't broken. It was gone. And it wasn't coming back. It wasn't a message. It wasn't a photo. It wasn't some dramatic, undeniable evidence. It was smaller than that. Simpler. Worse. It was proof with a whisper instead of a scream. I never went looking. That's the part no one believes. But I didn't dig through her phone. Didn't follow her car. Didn't trail her gym sessions or question her girls' nights. I didn't need to. The truth always shows itself when you stop trying to catch it. She left her laptop open one afternoon. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for my email. Then I saw a file on her desktop. Nothing scandalous. A simple folder. Titled, March Photos. March. The same month she said she had been going to the gym every other evening. The same month she told me she was just tired and didn't want to talk. The same month I started sleeping on the edge of the bed. I clicked. Inside were 10 photos. Harmless, at first glance. Smiling selfies. Coffee cups. Gym mirrors. And then one. One that made everything go quiet in my chest. A photo of her. In a restaurant I'd never seen. In a dress she told me didn't fit anymore. Smiling at someone across the table. I couldn't see him. Just the edge of a jacket. A drink. His hand. Her face was different. Softer. Lighter. Like she hadn't smiled that way in months. Because she hadn't. Not with me. She came into the room. Saw me near the screen. I had already closed it. She didn't ask what I was doing. Didn't say anything at all. She knew. I knew. But no one said a word. That silence? That was the moment everything died. I didn't mention the photo. I didn't mention the man. The drink. The restaurant. Because when a man truly lets go, he doesn't ask for answers. He simply removes the question. That night, I lay in bed beside her. Same bed. Same breathing. Same distance. But something inside me was clean. Clear. Still. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Just ending. The next morning, I moved out 5 more boxes. Took the last of my personal files. A few books. The framed photo of my father she never bothered to hang. She watched me walk back and forth. Didn't ask where I was going. Didn't offer help. Didn't say a word. Maybe she thought I was organizing. Maybe she thought it was nothing. She didn't ask. And that was her mistake. She thought the danger was in what I might say. What I might accuse. What I might scream. She never realized the real threat was what I no longer cared enough to confront. That night, I didn't come home. I stayed at the office. Late. Just staring at the city through the glass. I wasn't planning. I was already executing. Not a break. Not a revenge. A release. And from that moment forward, I was no longer her man. Not even quietly. Not even by habit. Not even in memory. She just didn't know it yet. There's something terrifying about being next to someone who no longer sees you. She used to walk through the room like she owned the air in it. Now she moved slower. Careful. As if every step might trigger something she couldn't stop. I was still there. Still making coffee. Still folding laundry. Still going to work and coming back on time. But she could feel it. Something had gone quiet in a way that didn't sound like peace. It sounded like distance. Like I was already gone, but hadn't packed the furniture yet. She asked if I wanted to talk. I nodded, but never started the conversation. She asked if I was okay. I said I was, but never smiled when I said it. She started cooking again. Meals she hadn't touched in months. My favorites. The ones she used to say were too much effort on a weeknight. She'd light candles, play music we used to dance to in the kitchen. I'd eat, thank her, rinse my plate, leave the room. She lingered longer near the door when I'd leave in the morning. Waited for a goodbye, a kiss, a hand on her waist. I gave none, and still she never asked why. Because the moment she did, she'd have to face the answer she already knew. She tried touches, shoulders, back of the neck, gentle, slow, searching for reaction. I gave her stillness, because that's what she trained me to give. The nights were the loudest. She'd turn toward me in bed, wait, shift slightly closer, pretend to be asleep, but hoping I'd reach for her. I didn't. Not out of cruelty, not out of revenge, out of honesty, because my hand didn't belong to her anymore. Not since I realized she only missed it when it was gone. One night, I found her sitting on the floor of the bedroom, not crying, not speaking, just sitting there, legs pulled up, head leaning against the nightstand like she was trying to ground herself in silence. I walked past her, grabbed a shirt, left the room. She didn't look up. She didn't need to. She already knew the answer to every question she was too proud to ask. She stopped mentioning her trainer, stopped going to the gym altogether, stopped pretending. Now, she was trying to be what I once begged her to be. Present, attentive, open. But that version of me who wanted those things, he was already buried, and I wasn't digging him up for anyone, especially not for the woman who helped lower him into the ground. She once said I was too predictable. Now, every second of silence was something she couldn't predict. And that was power. The man she said was too nice, was now too quiet, too distant, too still. And she finally understood what stillness really felt like, when it wasn't hers to control. By the time she realized I wasn't just distant, I was disappearing. It was already too late, because I hadn't just pulled away emotionally. I'd begun pulling threads from the life we built, quietly, deliberately, like removing bricks from a wall, without making it fall, until the day it would collapse all at once. The storage unit was already half full, boxes labeled with Sharpie, neat, efficient. No chaos, no mess, just calm, structured withdrawal. The kind of exit that comes from a man who doesn't need revenge, only clarity. I called my HR department, updated direct deposit to the new account, booked a short-term rental under my middle name. Nothing fancy, just space, silence, mine. She was getting nervous now. I could feel it. The forced smiles, the random gifts, the sudden, "Do you want to talk tonight?" Said like an apology she didn't know how to deliver. I never said no, but I never said yes either. Because some things don't need rejection, just absence. I started wiping the digital trail. Passwords, shared folders, accounts. I removed her from the emergency contact list at work, removed her from my medical profile, unlinked our cloud. She asked once why her phone stopped syncing photos. I said I didn't know. She didn't press, because deep down, she knew. I left receipts where she could find them. Not by mistake, but not obviously either. New apartment, storage fees, printed contract tucked into a drawer she never used. Until now, she didn't confront me, didn't yell, didn't accuse, because she was afraid of what the answer might be. If she asked the question out loud. At night, she cried softer. The kind of tears that don't come from pain, but from realization. That slow, paralyzing ache. When a person understands, they are no longer needed. I didn't react, didn't turn toward her, didn't offer comfort, because she had already taught me what to do when someone is crying beside you. Nothing. One morning, I left the house without saying goodbye. She followed me to the door, just stood there. No words, no tears, just eyes asking for something she no longer had a right to ask for. I didn't look back, didn't flinch, because when a man finishes grieving, he doesn't owe closure. He is the closure. The morning I left, the house was still asleep, but I was already done dreaming. I walked from room to room, checking drawers, closing quiet chapters. No bags, no rush, just motion, like a man finally leaving a hotel, after realizing he never really lived there. The bedroom looked untouched, the way she liked it. Perfect, symmetrical, cold. The closet was half empty. She hadn't noticed. Or maybe she had, but didn't want to confirm what she feared. On the bed, I left one envelope. No name, no dramatic letter, just 3 things. A copy of my new lease, a receipt from the storage unit, a single note, handwritten. You want it cold. Now you'll sleep in it. No signature, no date, No explanation. Because she knew everything already. And anything else would have been for her comfort. And she didn't deserve comfort. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the front door. One last familiar sound. Echoing in a house. That never echoed back when I needed it to. She wasn't home. I didn't wait. By noon, I was in the new apartment. Small. Clean. Mine. No scent of her perfume. No faint sound of her toothbrush in the next room. No cold eyes pretending nothing was wrong. Just air. And peace. And freedom. She found the note that evening. I know, because she called. 4 times. Then 5. Then 7. I didn't answer. Not because I wanted her to suffer. But because I had already done my part. And I had no more parts left to play. The voicemail started at midnight. At first, her voice was sharp. Accusing. Demanding answers. By the third one, she was crying. Not sobbing. Not loud. Just lost. Like someone finally realizing. They pushed away the only thing that ever held them steady. I deleted them. Didn't listen all the way through. Didn't save them for closure. I didn't need closure. I needed silence. And now I had it. For the first time in years. I slept with my chest relaxed. No tension in my jaw. No eyes staring at the ceiling wondering what I did wrong. I didn't dream of her. Didn't miss her. I just slept. And woke up. Free. She kept texting for days. We need to talk. I didn't mean what I said. Can we try again? But her words had no weight anymore. Because the version of me that wanted to try, she had already burned him. And all that was left now was the smoke. She stopped calling after a week. Stopped texting after 10 days. But I still heard about her. Not from her directly, but from the little ripple she left behind. As her life began to fold inward, mutual friends started reaching out. Some cautious. Some curious. Some pretending it was just checking in. But they all asked the same thing. You okay? She's not doing well. I always answered the same way. I'm doing better than ever. And I was. Not because she was falling. But because I had finally climbed out. I heard she missed 2 days of work. Then 4. Stopped showing up to meetings. Showed up once with red eyes and no explanation. Her manager was concerned. HR got involved. They let her go quietly. No scandal. No emails. Just a whisper through the office. She's going through something. She tried to post on social media like nothing happened. Photos of coffee. Quotes about growth. A few old selfies with filtered smiles. But the captions were hollow. The comments, thin. The likes, fewer. Eventually, the post stopped. She reached out to friends we used to share. But people choose sides. Even in silence. And the silence told them enough. Because I didn't scream. Didn't post. Didn't air dirty laundry. I just disappeared. With dignity. And that kind of silence makes people think twice about who was really at fault. I found out later that her trainer, the one she swore was just helping her grow, ghosted her, blocked her, cut contact. Maybe he got what he wanted. Maybe someone else found out. Maybe she realized he was never meant to stay. Either way, he was gone. Just like me. But I didn't vanish. I withdrew. There's a difference. I got one last message from her sister. Polite. Formal. Too clean. She's not doing well. I think she regrets what happened. If you could just talk to her, I think it might help. I didn't answer. Not out of anger. Out of principle. Because what she needed now was not a man to talk to, but a mirror. And I wasn't that anymore. Some nights, I imagined her walking through that empty house. Every corner holding the ghost of a man she didn't value. Until he wasn't there to open the jar. Or kill the spider. Or hold her in the dark when her doubts got too loud. No? Her doubts were the only sound. She once called me too nice. Said I was predictable. Said I was always there. She was learning what it felt like. When always there becomes never again. I saw her again. Not planned. Not expected. Just one of those moments life throws at you. To check if you've really moved on. I had. But she hadn't. She was coming out of a grocery store. Same coat she wore on our last weekend trip. Hair tied back. Eyes low. Movements slower. She looked like someone. Still hoping the past would text back. She didn't see me at first. But when she did, she froze. Not dramatically. No sudden gasp. Just a slow realization that the man walking toward her wasn't hers anymore. Her lips parted. Just barely. Like a word almost escaped but thought better of it. She gave a nervous smile. Familiar. Almost warm. But behind it was that same question. She never had the courage to ask. Are you really gone? I nodded. Polite. Nothing more. And kept walking. She didn't stop me. Didn't call out. Didn't beg. She just stood there, watching the back of a man she once thought would always wait. But that's the thing about patience. It has a limit. And once it's gone, so is everything else. A few days later, I got a letter. Handwritten. Pages long. I didn't read it all. I didn't need to. The first line told me everything. I didn't realize I'd already lost you before you ever walked away. She was right. Because real endings don't come with slammed doors or shouted regrets. They come in stillness. When you look at the person you once loved and feel nothing. And that's what she became to me. Nothing. I rebuilt. Quietly. No new woman. No rebound story. Just peace. Peace I earned by walking away from someone who thought love was power and kindness was weakness. She was wrong. I wasn't the man she wanted, but I became the man she could never reach again. And that's the difference between leaving and being gone. I didn't leave the door open. I didn't leave a note on the counter. I didn't leave breadcrumbs for her to follow. I left like silence. Fully. Finally. Forever.